Hi, the topic of this session is process modeling, and in this session, we will discuss a method which is used in the documentation purpose and it helps in documenting a business process. This documentation gives the user or business professionals a new way to analyze the system. Some common methods of analyzing a system are using work system framework architecture and using the method known as principle-based system analysis. These two methods gives us detail about the operation of a system. That means how a system operates. Then we have another method which is known as performance-based system analysis, in which we use several performance measurements for analyzing the work system. And it tells us that how well a system operates. In this section, we will learn another method of system analysis in which we use the process model. So you can give a name to this method as the process modeling based system analysis. And it will tell us that how data inside a system is transferred from one entity to another and how it is transformed into information. That means in this method, we will know the detail about flow of data and transformation of data. To understand this method, let's first understand the meaning of this term process modeling. The process modeling describes a method of documenting the process architecture. In this method, we identify major processes and then we subdivide the major processes into its associated sub-processes. The most popular method of process modeling is data flow diagram. As the name suggests, it represents the flow of data between different processes within a system. It is a simple and intuitive diagram in which we do not focus on details as we done in the work system framework. It describes that what users do. Users means business professionals. So we mainly analyze the system from business point of view rather than the technical point of view in which detailed algorithm is used. So this data flow diagram depicts system inputs, processes, and outputs. For understanding the advantages of DFT, we should understand the difference between business professionals and engineers. From information system point of view, the business professionals seeks detail about the system in order to define the problem and searching opportunity. Search opportunity. But the objective of an engineer is to develop a information system to solve these problem or to achieve this opportunity. So engineers wants the technical detail like detail about the material, detail about decision point, detail about different conditions, etc. So for business professionals, DFD is more useful. But for engineers, flow chart is more useful. So this DFD gives several advantages over flowchart for the use of business professionals. So the first advantage that it gives freedom from committing to the technical implementation too early. So if we omit the technical details, then the understanding of the interrelatedness of systems and subsystems becomes easy. As a result, it becomes easy to communicate current system knowledge to the users. And also, the analysis of the proposed system becomes easy. Now, limitations. So this DFT focus only on flows of information, so no technical details are considered. It ignores flow of materials, decision points, and several conditions that we consider in the flow chart and other methods that are suitable for engineers. Symbols used in data flow diagram. So in the data flow diagram, we use 4 symbols. The first one is a rounded box with a division like this, and it represents the process. So what is the purpose of process? The process transforms the input data to the output data. That means it transforms one information into another information. The processes are usually described by verbs such as select, purchase, calculate, decide, adjust, hire, and update. But more accurately, the processes are usually described by verbs plus adjectives plus noun. For example, if we want to describe a process of select, then in a accurate form, it should be described like select a suitable book. So this process is described by a verb, an adjective, and a noun. Another symbol used in data flow diagram is a arrow, and it represents the data flow. Data flows are represented by arrows with the data identified along the arrow. Data store is denoted by this symbol, that means an open box. So a data store can be a file cabinet, a diskette, a hard disk, a answering machine, or any other place that would be the answer to any question. A question about where is the data. External entity. External entity is denoted by a square box, and it represents any person or organization or department that provides data to a process in the system or receives data from a process. The symbol for an external entity is a square. The same symbols are represented with different color in this slide, and you can see that the symbol of entity is represented by a square box, and the data flow is represented by a arrow. The process has been defined by a rounded box with a dividing line, and the data store is defined by a open rectangle or open box. So the symbol of entity in a education system may represent a student, and the data flow in that education system may be about the new student information. The process may represent a task of creating a student record. The data store may contain a student master. Entities. So an entity, it can be source, that means it may send the data to process, or it may be a destination, that means a receiving point of data from the process. And it is represented by a square box. It represents another department, a business, or a person, or a machine. And it should be named with a noun. Data flow. Data flow is represented by an arrow, and it shows movement of data from one point to another. It is described with a noun. The arrowhead indicates the flow direction. The process denotes a change in the data or transformation of data. It represents work being performed in the system. It is named with help of a verb, adjective, noun. A process must also be given a unique identifying number. So numbering is important, indicating its level in the diagram. Data store represents a repository for data that allows examination, addition, and retrieval of data. It is named with a noun describing the data. Data stores are usually given a unique reference number such as D1, D2, D3. It represents a database, a computerized file, or it may represent a filing cabinet as well. Okay, so in this slide, we will know some basic rules of using the 4 symbols in data flow diagram. So in the data flow diagram, you may connect one process to the other process. You may connect one process to external entity. You may connect a process to a data store. A process must have both an input and output data flow. That means if you have defined a process, then it must have a data inflow and data outflow. A DFD must have at least one process and one data store. In the data flow diagram, you cannot connect an entity to another entity directly. Also, you cannot connect an entity directly to a data store. Connecting a data store to another data store is also prohibited in the data flow diagram. A description of different rules are given here with some reason. So in the previous slide, we found a rule that a process must have a inflow of data and outflow of data. So in the previous slide, I covered this rule that a process must have one inflow of data and one outflow of data. It is also covered that a process must be connected with a data store. An external entity must be connected to a process. Any entity cannot be connected directly to another entity or to a data store, but it can be connected with a process. A single data flow must only flow in one way. Some common mistakes that we can do in the data flow diagram is this mistake, in which we have noted that the process has no data flowing into it, but has data flowing out. The purpose of a process is to change a data or transform a data. So if we are not giving any data into the process, then how it will produce a data? So for getting a data flowing out of the business process, we must flow a data into the business process. Another mistake is that we connect a data store with the entity, external entity. That means we are talking about a step in which a entity can read and write something in the data file. But without any process, how an entity can read or write the data? So it's a mistake and it's an error. Third mistake is that the data flow goes into two directions at once. So data flow in two directions simultaneously is not possible. So two different arrows should be used to show the flow to and from each process. So if we want to show the flow of data from this process to this process, then the flow of data should be denoted by one arrow, and the flow of data from this process to that process should be denoted by another arrow, like this. Checking the diagrams for errors. So in this diagram, in this data flow diagram, you can see that the process don't have any output. So it's a mistake. Here, one data store is connected directly with another data store, which is wrong. A data store should not directly connect to another data store. A process is connected to the data store. Is it right or wrong? It's right, because a process can read or write into the data store. For example, suppose we are using a process of writing something in a Excel files as the time exceeds a certain limit. So once the time exceeds that certain limits, the Excel file will be edited as per the specification. Check this diagram and find whether it is right or wrong. This diagram is wrong because the process is not producing any output. This diagram is right. This diagram is wrong because a data store cannot change the data inflow into data outflow. Neither it can change this data into this data. nor it can transform this information into a data and then data into a new information. This diagram is also wrong because in this diagram, one entity is connected with another entity. This diagram is also wrong because in this diagram, the customer or entity is connected with the process, but the process is receiving one data without producing any out data. This diagram is also wrong because in this diagram, the entity is connected directly with the data store, which is not possible in the data flow diagram. Now we will know different steps in creating data flow diagram. So we start with a context diagram for creating the data flow diagram. This context diagram shows sources and destinations of the data being used and generated. After creating the context diagram, we identify the processes and break the process into different sub-processes. This helps us to know the detail about how work is being done. The DFD data flow diagram gives presentation about how work is currently done or it should be done in the future. So the context diagram. The context diagram gives an overview of the system in which some work is being done, and it includes basic inputs, general system or general process, and outputs. The context diagram contains only one process, and this one process represents the entire system of context diagram. The one process of context diagram is given the number 0. For example, this is the context diagram, and in this context diagram, these two entities are giving input A and input B to the process, and this process is given the name 0 or given the number 0, and it is giving some output to the third entity. So in the context diagram, we show all external entities. This is important. In the context diagram, all entities are shown, but the whole operation or whole work is represented by only one process. Along with all external entities, the context diagram also shows all major data flow to and from the external entities. The context diagram does not contain any data stores, so no data store is represented in the context diagram, and this context diagram is the simplest diagram of a process model, or it is the simplest diagram of data flow. So we use the context diagram for creating the data flow diagram. For that purpose, we explored this process into different sub-processes like this. So in this data flow diagram, the process 0 has been subdivided into 4 sub-processes. The first process, second process, third process, and fourth process, and the data store are also represented in this data flow diagram. But here the number of entities remain same. In the context diagram, there were only 3 entities, and in DFD also, we are getting only 3 entities. Let's take exercise and understand the steps that we follow in creating data flow diagram. So in this exercise, the case goes like this. A precision tools sells a line of high quality woodworking tools. When customers place orders on the company's website, the system checks to see if the items are in stock, issues a status message to the customer, and generates a shipping order to the warehouse, which fills the order. When the order is shipped, the customer is billed. The system also produces various reports. Now draw a context diagram for the order system. Draw DFD diagram 0 for the order system. So we have to draw the context diagram, and then we have to explode it to draw the data flow diagram. To develop a data flow diagram, we need to identify different entities, different processes, and different data store points and different data. There are three entities in the previous exercise. They are customer, warehouse, and accounting, and five processes are executed. The status check, issue status message, generate shipping order, manage account receivable, produce reports. There are two data stores, one pending orders and the other one is accounts receivable. There are several data flows and they are listed over here. These data flows are grouped into five groups. This group of data corresponds to the process 1.0, which is a process of checking status. This group of data corresponds to the second process, process 2.0, which is issuing status message. Okay, so now let's find the details that are required for context diagram. Read this sentence. Here it is written that when customers place orders. So in the context diagram, these five processes will be considered one process and the customer will place order to this process. So what data is flowing? The order data is flowing from customer to the process. Then the system checks to see if the items are in stock and issues a status message to the customer. Then the process issues a status message to the customer. So a status message, status message, state, sorry, status message is issued to the customer. Then, then a shipping order is generated to the warehouse. So this process generates a shipping order to the warehouse. Shipping order to the warehouse. Where is the shipping order? So this shipping order is generated to the warehouse, and this warehouse fills the order. That means it gives a confirmation to the process. So a shipping confirmation is given to the process from the warehouse. When the order is shipped, the customer is billed. That means this process sends in detail about the invoice to the customer. So invoice detail is sent to the customer and this customer gives payment to the process. So payment. And then a report is generated to the accounting. So the system produces reports to the accounting department, which is another entity. So inventory report is generated. We have missed one data, and the data is that this system checks to see if the items are in stock. So in stock request is given to the warehouse. In stock request to the warehouse. So we have three entities and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 data flows. So let's draw the context diagram. The complete process has been denoted here and the three entities are denoted with the boxes over here. So the customers place orders in data flow on the company's website, that is the system, and it checks to see if the items are in stock. So in stock request is placed to the warehouse, then issues a status message to the customer. So status message is sent to the customer and generates a shipping order to the warehouse. A shipping order is generated to the warehouse, which fills the order. This confirmation about the filling of order is sent to the system. When the order is shipped, the customer is billed. That means the system sends invoice to the customer and in return, the customer gives the payment. The system also produces various reports. So various reports are sent to the accounting department. Let's make the data flow diagram from this context diagram. So the system is doing 5 tasks. What are those tasks? That can be identified uh, by the number of verbs used in the system process, the number of verbs used in the system process. So the system process checks the status. So it is one process which is written over here. Then it issues a status message, that is another process. Then it generates a shipping order, so it is another process. Then the customer is billed, that is another process which is mentioned here. And it produces various reports, that is another process. So there are 5 processes. From the context diagram we already have these 3 entities. Along with these 3 entities, we have these data flows from the context diagram. So one data was flowing to the accounting, one data was flowing into the warehouse. So total 2 data were flowing to the warehouse, and one data was flowing from the warehouse to the system. That was about the shipping information. The customer was associated with 4 data flow. One data flow about the order, one data flow about the status message, one data flow about the payment, one data flow about the invoice. So till now we have this much detail about the system. Let's explore the data store that are needed in this data flow diagram. So first data store is required to make this check. To check the status, we need one data store. So one data store should be connected with the check status. So let's add one data store over here. Then another data is required here. So this data store will be required to check this condition. So what is this condition? This condition states that when the order is shipped. So from the data store we will check that whether the order is shipped or not. And when the order is shipped, the customer is billed. So one data store should be connected with the billing process. So this is the billing process, and we have to connect one data store with this process. So here I have connected one data store. So this process of issuing a status message will take data from this data store, or it may take data from this process of checking status. And this data will be converted by this process, and the status message will be sent to the customer. Then this data store will be used to generate the order. Again, this data store will be used to produce reports, along with the data of accounting will be used for producing the report. So in this way, we complete the data flow diagram of any system. Let's take an example of payroll system and see what typical errors can occur in the data flow diagram. So a payroll system executes a process by using the information about the employee and generates the information about the payment to the employee. So in the context diagram, there will be one entity that will give data to the process, and there will be another entity that will take data from the process. This process of payroll system can be divided into 4 sub-processes. The first sub-process of payroll system is to calculate gross pay. Second one, to calculate withholding amount. Third one, to calculate the net pay. Fourth one, to print employee paycheck. These details about the payroll system and the different sub-processes are given by the business professionals or users. So these details are given in the problem. Then we need to ask that what data are stored. So there are 4 data which are stored in the payroll system. The first one is employee master, employee time file, and reconciliation file. Let's assume that this data flow diagram has been developed and it contains some errors, and we need to find those errors. So here we can see that the external entity is connected with the data store directly. That means A employee can write or read this data store without any process, which is not possible. So there should be a process with help of which an employee can read or write the data. Then we can see that this process does not have any outflow, which is wrong. This process has no input. The gross pay data flow is going in the wrong direction. This arrow is bidirectional, which is not possible in the data flow diagram. Here, one data store is connected directly with the another data store, which is not possible in the DFD. So a data store should not directly connect to another data store. So if we correct all these mistakes, then the correct data flow diagram will look like this. Here, a process has been incorporated between the entity and data store. In addition to this subprocess, another subprocess is added over here to omit the direct connection between this data store and this data store. There are some other process modeling techniques such as flowcharting and structured English. However, the DFD method is used extensively, but other techniques can also be used to fill in some details that are not expressed in DFD. As we know that DFD do not express the sequence and timing of process nor the detailed logic of process. So all these details can be combined with the information given in the data flow diagram and we can generate a flow chart. So this flow chart represents the sequence and logic of procedures along with the details of data flow diagram. Structured English is very similar to a pseudocode that are written in several programming languages. It represents the precise logic of a procedure by writing it down in the different programming platforms. So flowchart demonstrates conditions. For example, it contains some starting decision, then decision about certain condition, if else condition, then some operation, then stop condition, and several operations. So in this way, flowchart is demonstrated. Differences between DFD and flowchart. So DFD is a graphical representation of the flow of data through an information system modeling its process aspects, whereas the flowchart is a diagrammatic representation that illustrates a solution model to a given problem. What details are provided by DFD and flowchart? So DFD only represents flow of data, whereas flowchart expresses the sequences, timings, and logics of procedures, etc. Where they are applied, so DFD is applied usually in complex systems, whereas flowchart is applied in simple systems. In a complex system, flowchart is not very suitable. So DFDs help to understand the overview of system without going into more details. So it is more useful for the business professionals, and flowcharts helps to analyze, design, and manage the program. So it is more useful for IT professionals. Thank you so much for your kind attention. You can refer these two books for more detail about data flow diagram.